So welcome back everyone, and without any further delay, let's now proceed towards the next panel discussion of the day, which is titled Predictive Analysis, AI and ML is equal to conversions. The panelists will discuss how predictive analytics can create more conversions in the ROI game.
Thank you so much. And thank you, panelists, for your time. Immediately after lunch. So we'll try to keep it more entertaining. And let's not repeat what we spoke in the morning. So we'll try to do that. So the topic is predictive analysis, AI and ML, and how is it helping conversions. AI, ML, analytics, these words are now completely integrated into any marketing initiative that we take. So I'm going to start with the question, maybe Vidya from you. How are you using AI, ML, predictive analytics in your business?
Hi everyone. Happy to be here and happy to be a part of the panel here. Irvinder, on AI, ML, basically Mondelez International, we leverage a lot of our understanding of our consumers, understanding of our customers. We try and understand the journey of consumers on the websites, on D2C platforms. Of course, there's a lot of conversations that happen on the cookie data in the morning. But yeah, more and more, focus on collecting data and collecting relevant data, enriching data on a continuous basis, using the data for business impact. It all starts with not so much with data or not so much with technology that you want to kind of use. We don't want to use AI for the sake of AI. Basically, it all starts with strategy. It all starts with a business question, and therefore identifying a solve for it, the relevant solve for it. So leveraging consumer experiences, leveraging consumer journey, understanding customers, segmenting, hyper-segmenting, that's really the root.
Okay, and so from FMCG, let's move to telecom and banking, where they're sitting with loads of data. So how are you using, Sanjeev, AI, ML techniques in your strategy to have more conversions?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I think how we use data in telco is like any other organization using, right? The key, the way we look at the data and applying the AI strategy to the data is, I would categorize in two parts. So 70% certainly from the operational perspective, and 30% also looking at the innovative use cases that we get, right? So what are those cases that will mature over a period of time? While from the because every time we were discussing about the ROI part, right? So the moment we start even talking about an ROI, looking at a problem statement, the CFO, the CEO or the CMO will start talking about what is the returns that you are providing to the business. So the way we are using artificial intelligence and machine learning and data science practice in telco today is basically the problem relates to the acquisition renewals, right? Because we have a lot of customers. So if you look at the telcos, in Vodafone also 230 million customers, right? So that's a huge customer base that we have, and it is spread all across country. 23 circles are there, 22, 23 circles are there. So the kind of behavior nature that customer has got, right, changes, varies from state to state, circle to circle, pin code to pin code. So there is a lot of data drift which is happening, and that has to be captured, right? From a human point of view, it is very difficult to capture trends which are changing, quickly, right? Rapidly they are changing, and that's why implementation of AI helps us identify those patterns in a more close to real time. So real time will be very, very difficult if we talk about telco, because we are running into double-digit petabytes of data. So crunching that volume of data for even one model becomes because one model training data sizes runs into GBs and TBs, right? So that becomes very, very important. So acquisition, engagement, renewals is something that we focus on. And then certainly we try to focus on the churn part, right? Retention part. And then we also look at the data monetization factor. A lot of data is already available from B2B, B2C perspective. Can we help other enterprises with the data that we have got, keeping the privacy factor into consideration, right? So data privacy norms, for example, location-based marketing. If I want to promote that kind of use case along with some other organization from marketing perspective, can I do that? So these are the kind of, if I want to work with some banking organizations and promote certain set of customers who are most likely to pick a product, can we combine the databases and see who are the probable customers for the bank in a B2B scenario?
You're working more like a Google and a Meta ecosystem where
B2C,
one can
B2B.
do a lookalike of audiences on your database. And
Absolutely.
so, and in terms of improving, we were just talking about, telecom actually reaching a penetration level which soaps and hair oils used to have at one point in time. So the whole job is now to improve frequency and usage, and in your case, probably the use of data and increase the amount of data that every consumer is using. So how is ML or AI helping you reach those objectives?
So that's what. When we talk about these models from data, whether it is structured, semi-structured, unstructured data, whether we are capturing the demographic, billing, etc., those kind of data elements. And then we are also talking about data that we receive through chats, emails, bots, right? So that also becomes as input to the data, the model that we create generally to understand maybe sentiment analysis, or to understand the causalities, why a particular person has picked a offer, why is there a network issue in certain locations. So can we understand the causality from the textual data itself? So that so we pass the data through various AI techniques, right? With respect to maybe applying NLP, natural language processing. Different other machine learning techniques are then also applied, whether it is in the form of classification, segmentation, association, forecast, etc., etc. So can we use that in association with this textual data? That's one thing. Also the video feeds or the image feeds that we get generally. How we can leverage that also. If I want to understand the demographics of customer profile walking into my stores, can I take into consideration the video feeds and then identify what is the gender, what is the split of the people who are walking in, right? From the demographic point of view, or from
That's interesting. We in the morning we were talking about companies doing a tracking of consumers across their domains. Now you're tracking consumers who are walking into your stores as well.
they are absolutely. That's the reality in telcos today.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. So you're picking up the signals from there and then use.
Images or feeds are taken and then classification is happening.
Yeah,
Basis
very-
CNNs, RCNNs, whatever different computer vision techniques are there, we are able to identify and profile them, and then pitch them products which are suitable for them.
Wonderful. So that's a good combination of offline and online data that you're capturing. So, Richa, what's been your experience and how are you leveraging? Because I think BFSI was a very early adoption of AI ML techniques.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here as a part of this panel. So yes, absolutely correct. BFSI was one of the forerunners into the adoption of AI ML. And I think it's, I would say, it's been a boon for us to have AI ML, the way it has evolved. And actually, it's for all the industries, and banking is no exception in that. And if you see, it helps in a lot of ways. It helps us with sort of customer engagement, customer supports, reduced costs. And if I were to say specific to conversions, how it would help you. So there are 2 or 3 areas where I would like to say. First of all, what AI ML has beautifully been able to do for us is to, personalize the customer sort of experience. So you have customer preferences, you have customer interests, you have the history, and you are able to provide to the customer on a personalized basis
what best suits them. So basically, when you have a very large amount of data sitting and, you have a large number of leads, and you also have equally large number of channels to cater to. So it becomes imperative that you bring into something which does it in a large scale fashion, but at the same time, manages that economies of scale brilliantly with personalization. So I think those are two areas, the lead scoring and as well as customer personalization. That's where we have picked up. The third is, I would say, now the way AI ML is evolving, it's become a lot more dynamic, and you can feed back the insights or the customer insights, even in the customer journeys back to it. Something that we didn't see earlier. So, it's a very beautiful way of evolvement of the whole thing, and the whole idea that, you are able to bring that similar experience, maybe though on a digital front, very personalized, in a personalized way across to the customers, where you're able to cater to their demands given the way they want it. And, that sort of leads to your customer loyalty, customer retentions, and finally conversions. And Mitesh, your area is to improve loyalty among the customers. So how are you deploying these techniques?
So good afternoon. So loyalty is the next step. See this topic we are talking about conversions, but immediate conversions is something that should not be the focus of any marketer. It should be building sustainable loyalty, and that's where loyalty solutions are moving towards giving a holistic customer experience, and hence all the old age customer analytics techniques will not suffice to give the holistic customer experience that the customer is seeking. Because in this omni-channel world, we need to catch the customer at the right channel at the right time. Also, the right customer. So who, when, and how is something that needs to be answered in a holistic, strategical way. Is something very imperative. Now, at Loylty Rewardz, we, apart from doing all the analytics at the CLCM level, we are also looking at real-time personalizations, bringing in experience, preferences of the customers, and nudging them at the right moment is something that is just not a data science or an AI ML problem. It is also an engineering problem. And that's where a technological shift is required, especially for Indian companies, in how the e-commerce space has evolved. I see that e-commerce, the Amazons and the Flipkarts of the world have taken this game to another level, and that is something that that we are striving for at Loylty to provide us to our clients as well. And yeah, it's more. It's an AI ML game. It's a data science game, but it's also becoming now an engineering game as well. And yeah, we are focusing on that aspect as well, apart from what the esteemed panelists talked about.
And Mitesh, you touched upon the technology and the engineering aspect of it. So with that, I will move over to Ritesh. And Ritesh is from Salesforce. So how are you facilitating all your clients and the panel members who are sitting here with your solutions?
Hello, first of all, thanks very much. I'm very excited to be here. So AI right now, it's the buzzword everybody is speaking about. So I want to take you back to some history, right? So AI is a revolution which is happening right in front of your eyes, right? My co-panelists spoke about the data, the scale, the experience, the conversions. Now, Salesforce wants to be in a place where it can enable all these aspects of customer journey. So there was a time when computer revolution happened, then the mobile revolution happened, now the social revolution happened. Now is the AI revolution which is happening. And now you all have seen what generative AI is doing for all the customers. Now I want to divide this into two parts basically. So there was once the conventional AI ML, Now, Salesforce, for 22 years, we have been the preferred choice of the customers, no matter what stage of the journey they are. It's an engagement platform which has sales, service, marketing, and integration pieces as well. So we started this journey of AI ML in 2014. And our motto has been that everybody is an Einstein. So Einstein was launched on a platform of Salesforce, wherein we allowed sales guys, service guys to use AI ML without knowing what's happening. So for example, lead conversions, right? It was automatically happen on Salesforce, right? Now, whatever data you were collating, the system was intelligent enough to find out which leads are going to convert, which opportunities are going to close, what data you need to be collecting, right? So that was your conventional AI ML, which everybody has been using, right? But what happened when the greatest AI event, which happened, the Dreamforce in September this year? So we launched something called the Copilot, which is based on the generative AI technology, which everybody has been talking about, and Salesforce has been at the forefront of this. So hence, if you see what the motto we have is, it's not just CRM, it's AI plus data, and very important part, which is the trust, right? So a lot of people have been talking about these models, AI models, which are toxic, which are hallucinating. How do you take care of that trust layer? Right? Nobody wants to share the data, but everybody wants the intelligence. So that's the second piece which we have come up with, the generative, we call the Copilot. So on all these applications, so for example, if you want to send an outreach mail after you have spoken to somebody, the system can automatically send a very contextual email without you doing nothing, basically. So imagine you are in a contact center. If you want to revolutionize the end experience, so the entire search, right, it can be contextualized, it can be done within 3 seconds, the summary can be presented to anyone who is handling that call, right? In commerce, if you see generative AI, again, machine learning piece. So if you want to automatically generate the description of the products, right, it can do that. We spoke about lead capturing, right? The system has these AI algorithm like contextual bandwidth, collaborative filtering, automatically it generates this. So our motto has been, how do we facilitate, right? How do we optimize? How do we help the sales guy, service guy, marketing guys, and commerce guy? So Salesforce, right from the time you collect the data, so we launched a product called the Data Cloud, which erstwhile used to be known as CDP. So as you rightly said, I think one of my panelists said, the time has gone when you could take time to give a very good experience to end consumer. Right now, the attention span is just 8 seconds. If you are not relevant in those 8 seconds, chances are your consumer will move to some other brand, right? So moving to another brand, basically, the loyalty these days is basically zero, right? Nobody will go after you. So, they don't want anything, right? They'll just move. So with AI ML, what we have seen is it's not a vision anymore. It's a necessity. If you're not doing something around AI ML, chances are you will be wiped out, right? So with that, I just want to summarize that Salesforce is present in the entire stage of journey, right from the collection of data, and then the hyperscale as we spoke about it, and then in the end to the end of the spectrum where you get a very relevant experience no matter what the channel is using these AI and ML models.
Thank you. Very, very good perspective. In fact, now world is moving towards generative AI that you touched upon, and we've heard right from the creative briefs to actually working out the creators, people are using or leveraging generative AI. But somewhere we touched upon the accuracy of the models that we build. So I would want to get into this area, how accurate your models are today, the way you are doing, whether it is for conversion or to understand the behavior or to even contextualize communication, how accurate your models are today, and where do you want to reach as a goal tomorrow?
So it really depends from case to case and from model to model in terms of what we're trying to solve for, what we're trying to answer, etc. So there are models built on consumers to try and understand not necessarily accuracy, but more in terms of understanding or grouping consumers more homogeneously based on their behaviors, based on what are their aspirations, what are their needs, etc. So there could be a consumer group which is, consuming, we house iconic brands like Cadbury and Oreo, right? Cadbury, Oreo, 5-star, etc. So there could be a consumer group who would like to eat meetha in the night after dinner. But there could be nuances to that as well. There could be micro groups of consumers, after dinner consumers as well. So some could be wanting to have a meetha after dinner, and some could be wanting to have an indulgent chocolate. So therefore, then the business solution or the targeting or the deployment is very different. The brand that you will target to different micro cohorts will be very different. So that's really the segmentation model, where we're not so fussed about accuracy, but we are more looking for certain media metrics like CTRs or VTRs, uplifts in them, and therefore conversions, etc. And there are certain other models that we build with, which are more predictive in nature, right? Which is where accuracy comes into picture, the forecasting models. And of course, when you start off, you have historical data. You use historical data in terms of what are the various variables you use. You have a list of feature engineering variables on the model, etc. And the best proof of concept is really in terms of validating the numbers month on month, right? And forecasted versus actuals, and you see what's really the gap and try and understand the accuracy percentage. And it's pretty and that really that's completely the data scientist's job in terms of optimizing the codes and how best we kind of churn out the models, etc. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's now become a way of life in our all the marketers' life, not like a one-time exercise that you did and forgot about that. So, Sanjeev, in your case, how do you describe accuracy in the work that you do or the models that your team is building?
I think the accuracy part is something that everyone wants the highest, right? And when somebody says that my model is more than 95% accurate, I am really not very worried, right? 95% and above accuracy, that means model is overfitted, right? And when you actually launch it in the market, it will flop. So that's why sensitivity and specificity, we have to match it properly. Use case to use case, this will certainly differ. And for example, if a port out issue is there, if a customer wants to port out, my model accuracy has to be very, very high, right? I need to identify, I need to predict which are the customers who are most likely to port out. And that action has to be taken within 48 hours. If within 48 hours there is no retention strategy which is followed, or somebody is not calling from the call center, so within so turnaround time is just 48 hours. So the moment we push the outputs of the predictive model to CRM or for execution, that has to be converted into conversions or retentions. So we certainly look at week on week. We look at the models, we look at the attributes, variables that can have material impact. Latent variables also we try to see that can be transformed, right? And then see whether those latent variables having direct impact on the accuracy so on one side you have statistical accuracy that goes up, but in the real-time world that is not working. So that match has to be properly adjusted, and see to it that statistical accuracy, if the statistical accuracy is increasing, your real-time or the real-time impact on the business is also moving in a positive direction. It should not happen in the other way.
That's how the models will learn from the outcomes, and then you feedback the outcomes back into the model. So the point that you brought out beautifully is that it's not just one team building the models and talking about it. Your CRM team or the customer engagement team needs to be put in action the moment you see there's a large churn happening or this consumer is likely to move out. The action needs to happen. So the multiple functions within marketing need to come together. So Richa, in your case, how is it happening? How are you marrying multiple functions with the outputs that your team is generating and getting those out there in the market?
So
I mean, to be very frank, I would agree to what Sanjeev said, and again, it differs from a use cases. There are some models where you know that you will typically get a very typical accuracy. I mean, in my career, which have been into the analytics space, what I have seen in industry is, yes, you today have, the best and the most, I would say, dynamic things to help you achieve that. But at the same time, you need to be very sure that, that is something that is sustainable. So you might get an accuracy which is super high, but then you will eventually realize when you do your validations, your monitoring, that will fail off. So you need to have models which obviously today, you are using the best, and as you said correctly, putting back the insights into place, making it more richer. You can use reinforcement learnings and things like that. But at the end of the day, the objective is very clear. Are we able to capture the best for which the model was intended? And are we able to sustain that? And I think that's the basic key that, finally it's all about specificity and sensitivity. Are you able to manage your false positives and false negatives? Thanks, Richa. Mitesh, do you want to add to what Richa has mentioned just now?
Yeah, so accuracy is only a factor of what input variables you give to the model. Now, the input variables need to be well thought of according to the business use case, and that data scientists or analytics team cannot do it in isolation. The inputs need to be taken from all the stakeholders while building the model, that use case, and the impact of that use case needs to be articulated well before the modeling exercise has started. Having said that, in my organization, impact over accuracy is what I ask my team to follow on, because eventually, if the model is highly accurate, as my esteemed colleague here said, that it is a classic case of overfitting. I mean, as a leader, if somebody comes to me with even 85% accuracy, I tell you, overfitting hai, dekh lo ek baar. So the important point here is the impact. Now, customer analytics is not a field like a medical field or an airline field where accuracy is not, koi mar nahi jayega agar accuracy, right? So the point here is that we have a very hard time explaining to the business stakeholders that accuracy pe utna mat jao. We need to focus on the impact that this model is going to make. Models will evolve over time. It will give the results as and when the feedback loop is complete, as and when more and more input variables, richer input variables, relevant input variables are feeded into the model, and more relevant information is captured by the team. And that's where I want to talk about the omni-channel problem here, because as I said, the customers are moving from one channel to another channel very fast, and the span is very, very low. So how do we catch them? Is a foundational strategy organizations need to look at their foundations again with this omni-channel strategy in place. The data engineering, the data capturing of different sources of customer touch points needs to be relooked again, and that is something very important. And hence, the market is also moving towards more of solving the data engineering problems and the foundational problems right now, rather than jumping onto the models.
You said it very beautifully कि कोई मर नहीं जाएगा अगर accuracy थोड़ा कम है. So the reason why I emphasize so much on accuracy, because we keep hearing this from other functions within marketing saying, is your model accurate enough? Can we rely on this model? Is your model good enough to look at, retaining our customers or stopping the churn that we have? So I think you've said it very nicely. But in terms of orchestrating your multiple functions within the marketing team itself, Ritesh, how is Salesforce helping bring in all these functions together and utilize or leverage the AI ML techniques that the teams are using or building to take actions?
I think that's a very good question. I think there's debate on accuracy has been going on since historical times. I think it all depends on the perception, right? What is accurate for me might not be accurate for some other industry. Talking about what Salesforce is doing in this realm is, see, it's very important. How do you interpret the results? And how soon can the system take a recourse or do a mid-correction of whatever campaigns you're running, marketing campaigns, MarTech campaigns, whatever you are doing? Is the system intelligent, integrated, automated enough, right? And that's the challenge which Salesforce is trying to solve, that entire auto ML piece, right from the time you capture the data, right from the time somebody searches something about your brand on the Google, and that's where the marketer job start, right? The moment somebody searches on the Google. So, and Salesforce platform is one platform which sort of satisfies the need of data scientists as well as normal marketer also, right? For example, it's a pro code. If you want to write a code, right, it's a low code and a no code also, which means if your campaign, for example, failed, or if you're not getting enough segments in whatever segments ad campaigns you're running, the system can interpret that in very simplified English language and tell you why it failed. And then the good part is system can take that action automatically depending on what you have said. Now, this was about the accuracy. As I said, this is relevant for AI ML. For generative AI, there's something called toxicity, right? So again, what we have done is we have created a trust layer, which, so what essentially it does is we don't own your data, right? We manage your data. So we don't want your data to be sent out to any other third-party generative AI model. So we have created that trust layer, which takes care of, for example, masking the PII, taking care of the toxicity, so on and so forth. And this all happens within the system. As I said, it is a low code, no code plus a pro code. So no matter what you want to do, the system is there, right? And as I said, since it's one big engagement channel, no matter if something is happening in real time, it can make those changes, move the model, change the model, or stop the campaigns and give the relevant experience. So if I were to summarize, I will say, as they say, if you have failed again, but fail better. Now with Salesforce, we always say you fail fast. It's important today that you need to fail fast, get up and start a new strategy.
Sure. I will come to a very debatable topic now, which is building these capabilities in-house versus outsourcing. So, Vidya, what have you done in your organization? Is it all in-house or you're using a mix of it?
So, what I can say, what I can elaborate on what we've done. Basically, it's a hybrid approach. It's never 100% in-house or 100% outsourcing. It's again dependent on case to case. It's dependent on the evolution of the capabilities that we've built over a period of time, the repository of capabilities that we built over a period of time, and also the ambition and vision that we have for ourselves for the next 10 years, 20 years, etc. So based on that, it's always a mix of, we outsource capabilities from the market. It's also good to understand what's happening in the market outside. What are the kind of new evolving, new age capabilities, because it's quite expensive to in-house everything. But at the same time, it's also important, and organizations are waking up to the fact that we need to have a COE in-house and establish capabilities in-house. It also kind of upskills careers, skill sets, employees. It also builds new career paths for employees, and it's important to have in-house capabilities as well, because it gives you that edge in the market as well. So it's a hybrid approach.
So Sanjeev, in your case, it must be all in-house, I'm assuming, because your data is very close to the business.
I think it is the other way again. It is like a hybrid system only. Now, I think what the organizations, enterprises should do what they are good at and what they are meant for. And that's why it is very, very important for the organizations to hire services from vendors and service integrator SI partners, right, who are good in their jobs, right? So why do a job of Salesforce if the Salesforce is available to us, right? So there are more than 200, if I talk about telco, more than 200 data sources that are currently integrated in the data lake. Now, the models, there is a cost involved at all the levels. So certainly the vision is to reduce the cost. Can we keep the cost down? And can we bring in the efficiency from, because if we are focusing on building predictive AI ML models on this large volume of data, where the complexity is increasing, right? So the conventional algorithms are becoming deep learning algorithms. Deep learning algorithms are getting augmented by generative algorithms, right? GPTs, and there are algorithms which are then run on large volume of texts, large volume of images, videos. I think there is a cost angle to it, and that's why, since there are different sources, there are networking equipments that are required. So we can't be producing networking equipment. So if there is ZTE, Huawei, Ericsson, we have to certainly take it from them.
Apart from the hardware, obviously you can't build the hardware yourself. So, but the capabilities in terms of AI, ML, the data scientists.
That's perfectly in-house. These are the capabilities that we keep it, because within the organization, that is in-house completely. Why? Because the data is sensitive. Privacy norms, secrecy norms have to be maintained. So data doesn't go out of the system, right? Out of the data lake. And all the predictive models are then built on the cloud, but we ensure that the customer details are not floating there, right? They are not going there. We completely follow the PII norms. And we kind of encrypt them, push them there, build the model at scale with speed, so that we run the campaigns near real time, right? So we can push the intelligence, the campaigns are executed on top of it. So it has to be a mix of in-house capability versus the capabilities that we bring in from SI partners, vendors from outside. It should be a combination of both.
Richa, does that apply to your business as well? Because in your case also the data is very sensitive.
Yeah, so I would say majority of our solutions tend to be in-house. And again, I mean, specifically there are very niche areas, as you said, where you really would have to rely, so that's somewhere where you would collaborate on. But majority of it tends to be in-house only. What Vidya just mentioned, that sometimes you also need to understand what's happening out there in the market. So how do you take those new things into your system if everything is in-house? No, so that's where I said there are certain areas where you would have to collaborate to understand them better. But given the nature of the business, majority of it would tend to be in-house. How is it, Mitesh, for you?
So I think this is one of the questions which must be on their minds as well, because it all depends on the maturity of the practice that is there at your organization. That is the first factor which is important, because all my panels are coming from big organizations which are largely scaled, and they can go for hybrid approach, and they have to go for hybrid approach because the cost angle comes into the picture. But if organizations at a small scale which are starting out, it makes complete sense to go with a vendor like Deloitte, who are experts and who know the market and have worked on different use cases, and they might be, the right choice for you if you are at a lower end of the maturity curve. As you scale up, you have to move to a hybrid approach, because the capability has to be in-house, depending on the sensitivity of the clients, of your IPs, the business that you're in. So it's a question which has to be answered by the business at a strategic level. And that's where you are looking at on the CXO table, the analytics and the data science leaders are coming now, because AI ML is just not, or data science is just not a support function. It's a strategic pillar, and in some cases, it's an enabler to top line and bottom line. And having a perfect AI ML strategy in place is mandatory. I mean, there is no choice. Looking at vendors, I think we should explore vendors, definitely.
Thanks. Ritesh, do you want to give any learnings to the audience in terms of if they are getting onto this journey, what they should be looking at?
Oh, yes, absolutely. First, to answer your question, yes, rightly said, it depends on the industry. It depends on which, what part of the curve in terms of your digital maturity or AI ML maturity you take the approach. But it's always been a hybrid approach. People generally start with, so again, I want to divide this into operational AI, which you think, for example, which campaign worked, which did not, and so on and so forth. But obviously, risk modeling, you would not allow any Frankenstein to be created, right? You don't want system to run on its own and do some kind of prediction. So yeah, if you want to start, so that's what, if you see all the organizations are doing, at least the technical organizations are doing, they are all coming up with this platform to solve this problem. As I said right in the beginning, everybody wants to be an Einstein, but what does it take to be an Einstein, right? Not everybody can be a data scientist. So you have to balance that out, and then that's where these companies like Salesforce really help, right? We are trying to build that intelligence, that automation within the system, so that at least that part of learning can be done automatically, so you don't have to involve a lot of time, resources in doing those basic work, right? Because what I've seen is at times there are huge teams culling out data, creating reports, doing model. Let the system do that for you. And that's what, if you see one of the surveys which we did, the productivity benefits which we got after implementing AI, ML were upwards of 30%, 30 to 40%, right? So start small, look at the platforms where this can be done easily, where a platform which can sustain the entire journey of building, implementing, and productizing these predictive models and reporting as well over it. So
I think it can expedite the journey to the market. We have 2.5 or 3 minutes right now. We've tried to keep it as non-technical as possible. Any questions that we haven't been able to cover from the audience?
My question is to Mr. Chauhan. So I'm the founder and CEO of a startup, and we have actually done the pricing for Salesforce and HubSpot both.
Okay.
Yeah? And the pricing for Salesforce is huge, for us, because it is kind of B2C. We are also into B2B, but the pricing for B2B is perfect. But for the B2C segment, the pricing of Salesforce is way too high, because we are talking millions of users in the next few years. We wish to build a workforce of a million plus people in the next 3 years, and take them into the job market and into the IT industry.
Perfect. Oh, sorry. Please complete.
So the pricing thing, if you can actually make some product for startups,
He's trying to crack a deal here. So you catch him over a cup of coffee.
I was just about to say perfect question for a forum like this, where everybody's sitting. But to answer your question, we generally get this. I'll generalize this. We can take this offline, because I can't comment on what kind of solution you're looking for, or within Salesforce. As I said, it's huge. But see, you have to see cost versus value. Cost is always near real. I mean, in near future you can get it, but what value you are getting if you have a solution like Salesforce over a long period of time. For example, if you see a service is generally enterprise organizations have 8 to 10 systems which they need to integrate, right? There might be CRM, sales, service, marketing. So for Salesforce, you might pay more right at the front, but in the long run, it will take your headache of integrating data transfer, intelligence, all that. So, as I said, it's a question which needs to be,
Convince him over for a long-term ROI, maybe over a cup of coffee.
absolutely. Would love to talk to you.
Yeah, so just a last quick one. The cost to the startups is kind of, it's kind of make or break for them. So if you have some model which is cost effective for startups, we will actually take that, because it is kind of, we are into not B2B now, but we are going to B2C, and then we are going to go to B2B.
As a matter of fact, we are running a program for startups. I think we'll catch up over a coffee. I'll
Sure.
take you through.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good attempt. Any other question?
This is Sudhakar. Very interesting, because, led by, none other than, a madam who managed everybody.
Thank you. I look forward to your comments now henceforth.
Yeah. Especially to, Salesforce. Salesforce, yes, cost is a universal thing with regard to them. But I'm not coming to that one. But what you last flagged off is the Frankenstein issue. Yes, because that is an issue. Because, people build up Frankenstein, but then they say, we don't know how to manage it. It is your baby. So is that going to be the reason that we need to, when we talk about, artificial intelligence, machine language, and deep learning? Because, deep learning, which is missing among both, insurance people as well as, the other areas, especially the Richa madam. So if you can highlight, some of the very weakest point which we need to build up within this forum or elsewhere in the coffee table. So please.
I think the time is up. Do you want?
So, do you want to have a session outside maybe with him quickly?
Yep,
Because, it's a very interesting subject that is, brought up. Deep learning, and we've been hearing a lot of stories around that. So, how to address that? What are the gaps? Maybe you can have it off. Yes. Catch Richa outside.
Bigger learning, especially international organization.
Yep.
So we need to understand, if we have to bring in the unreachable element or unreachable population, so we need to debate here, because this is the best platform which Financial Express has provided, for benefit of everybody. It's nobody else does it.
I know, Richa, you have to go to Pune at 3 o'clock. So just maybe spend 5 minutes with him outside. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience.